And welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for June 1st, 2015. The time being 7:02 p.m., I call the meeting to order. Our first agenda item is Pledge of Allegiance. John, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Okay, we also are going to have a moment of silence for John, or as everybody called him, Jack Demento, who passed away on Saturday. Jack was quite a fixture around here. He did a lot of things. He was on the personnel board. He was on the finance committee for almost forever. He was the chairman for a long time, and kind of helped out the office crew with their various projects that they would get into, buildings and fixing things and roofing buildings and all that kind of stuff. And he loved that kind of thing. So we should really, just a moment of silence in remembrance of Jack. Jack, thank you for everything. Citizens' query will be from 7:05 to 7:10, and that'll be in another minute. And just as a reminder, this meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally, and we are live. So, okay, we have several appointments tonight. We're going to have appointments from 7:15 to 7:45, and the discussion on Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant safety and evacuation concerns. Our first appointment will be 7:15 to 7:20 with Steve Comley to provide overview of concerns. 7:20 to 7:30, Planning Preparedness and Nuclear Section Chief MEMA to provide overview of emergency evacuation plans. John, I think that's your piece. And Chief Broderick is our Fire Chief and REMA Director. He'll summarize his report on the Seabrook issues. And hopefully Senator Bruce Tarr, our representative, and Representative Brad Hill will be here to provide perspectives. So, and then one more appointment after that will be with the chief to discuss the finalists for our public building proposals. So, the time being 7:05, citizens' query is open. So we can go down to one to start the 7:15 one. We'll go to general business. I'll pick out one of those. Give some time. Okay. And I've got some sad news on the first one. It's under general business number 1, and it's a letter of resignation from Council on Aging Director Mary Ellen Mile. To the Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town of Raleigh Town Hall. Dear Selectmen, please accept this as a formal notice of my retirement occurring on August 28, 2015. I'll therefore be leaving my position as Director of the Raleigh Senior Center, aka Raleigh Council on Aging, as of that date. I have had the honor of serving as a Director of the COA in Raleigh since November 6, 2002, 12 plus years. It has been a wonderful journey, full of growth, joy, learning, and satisfaction. What started as a part-time position grew into a full-time challenge as the Senior Center broadened its horizons. I am very proud of the center and the spirit of its volunteers and members. With such nurturing with the help of the town, the center will continue to grow and expand, offering new and innovative programs to keep seniors abreast of every changing times. I would be willing to continue as shrine counselor as a volunteer based, as well as help in a way during the period of transition for this position. While I look forward to enjoying my retirement, I will miss the senior center, the staff, and all the town's employees I have come to know. Thank you for all the assistance, cooperation, and opportunities provided to me during my tenure as director. Sincerely, Mary Ellen Mile. Well, that's kind of sad news. It really is. She's done a great job down there,
Absolutely.
so
Should be very hard to be replaced.
it's gonna be difficult, yeah. So I will entertain a motion with
I'll give you
regrets.
that motion with very deep regrets.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, is it possible that we can advertise that position prior to her leaving so that
Yeah.
we could hopefully get someone in by the, more or less a smooth transition?
Actually, Mr. Peterson, so I'm trying to schedule that personnel board meeting because we have to make some adjustments to the job description. So as soon as we have that completed, if the board would authorize lifting the freeze now, as soon as I get those changes made, we can post the position.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to lift the hiring.
I'll
freeze for
second that.
position.
Motion made and seconded to lift the hiring freeze. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And just as a comment, she will be sorely missed. She runs, if you watch, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching the Channel 9, and it listed the activities that go on over there, and it was like 5 or 6 pages of things that go on. I'm in and out of there a lot. I know Joe, I see you over there, Joe, with cribbage, but it's just so many things going on. She's done such a great job. Whoever comes in is gonna have
A large,
walk into a nice
Yes.
setup, and
Right.
hopefully make it work and add additional improvements, whatever that person sees.
very, very large shoes to fill, though.
She deserves a lot of
Yes.
credit. As the town nurse, she does so much with all the town employees. She's just a wonderful person. And,
Yeah.
we've been blessed to have her, and we certainly wish her good luck in her retirement. And hopefully she'll stay involved as much as she can, and I'm sure she will, because that's the kind of person she is.
Okay. This seems to be the night for these kinds of things. I got another one under general business 2, and it's another resignation. To members of the Raleigh Board of Selectmen, dear Chairman Mary, due to an increase in family and work-related responsibilities, I ask that you do not reappoint me to the Personnel Board for the upcoming year. I wish to thank you and the other board members for your appointment and support during my time representing the townspeople as a member of the Personnel Board. Sincerely, Richard A. Curran.
I don't think we have to accept, it's not a resignation.
No,
just
he's not.
We maybe send him a letter of thanks for
Oh, absolutely.
all his
Yeah.
service to the town. I know he's got a difficult time.
I'll second that.
Yeah. Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And can we advertise that one too?
Yeah, we do,
Put a
we'll
posting or whatever?
we'll list that, and
Okay.
put it out there.
Thank you.
We have one more.
One more, yeah. General business, 3rd. And this is to the Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town Hall, Raleigh. I have served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the last 55 years. I wish to retire from the board at the end of my present appointment, June 30th, 2015. As you are the appointing authority, I wish to recommend Associate Member Robert H. Clevo? He's on
Kluel.
zoning.
Clue.
Kluel, okay. As my replacement, to acknowledge and what is that word?
Interpretation.
Okay, his knowledge and interpretation of the laws that the ZBA uses is of great value. I thank you for allowing me to serve the town all those years since my original appointment of April 4th, 1960, by the then Board of Selectmen, to the Board of Appeals for 2 years. I guess it stuck. With best regards, Nathaniel N. Dummer. Nat is a longtime Raleigh resident, been here all his life, and you can see this, what happens. You know, you get on a board and you just stay there forever.
Yeah, that board's had a lot of long time
They have, they really
appointees
have.
that have gotten on there and done a great job for the town.
Yeah.
I'd like to make that motion.
Send him a letter of,
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll send him a letter of thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
too.
Absolutely.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. the number of old business is gonna be a little bit longer.
I don't see Mr. Conley here, so.
Yeah, he's got another 2 minutes, but I'm surprised he's only sitting on the front steps.
Yeah.
When we get here, but. Okay, I can get to one more new business, transfers to veteran benefits from line, town accountant. Transfer blanket insurance. New business one, okay. Under new business number one, it's to, under Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 33BB, transfers to veteran benefit line and the town accountant's expenses. Okay, the veterans benefit, we're looking for a transfer amount of $5,000. The money budgeted for the compensation additional transfer has been depleted. This is for veterans benefits. So we've had a few of those things crop up this year, and been adding people to it, so we're a
As the
little bit
veterans are
behind.
coming back from, overseas being discharged.
Yeah.
Rules
So-
are being added to.
So there's the veterans transfer, and we also have a transfer from the town accountant, the assistant town, the town accountant needs these funds to pay for her attendance at the Mass Municipal Auditors Spring Conference, auditor and accountants. And she's looking for $400 transfer.
You want separate motions of those, Mr. Chairman, or you want?
Yeah, we can do them separate motions.
I'll give you the motion for the veterans.
Okay, motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And number two for $400.
I'll give you the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
I'll go check and see if Mr. Conley's.
Mr. Chairman, we will need the selectmen to sign those,
That's a good
since
idea.
they're going to the finance committee
Yep.
for tomorrow evening.
I don't see any sign of Mr. Conley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. Yep. Click.
Thank you. Okay, the time being 7:15. I suppose we can open the appointments, but Mr. Coleman's not
Mr.
here.
Conley's not here, I don't see any.
Yeah, I don't, Amy emailed him on Thursday. We have two email addresses.
Yeah, I sent it to both,
She sent it to both email address, and she did call and leave a message on his voicemail today, this
Okay.
afternoon, about
just
maybe
before 4.
just before 4, to remind him.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, well, in your packet, you do have the motion that was approved by town meeting, so, and I think the selectmen have all read the materials he submitted a couple months ago.
Yep.
That you had then sent off to Chief Broderick as the REMA director of the town.
Yeah, there was a Article 2 motion passed.
Yes, so that's, this, your appointment this evening is in response to this vote of town meeting and his prior request
Right.
to review the materials.
Okay.
So maybe, Mr. Chairman, you could read his motion that was made at town meeting.
Okay, it's an article under, actually a motion under the annual town meeting or special town meeting, under Article 2. And Article 2 is instructions to town officers. So it's really not a binding article where they tell you to do something and you have to do it. It's more or less kind of giving instructions to the town officials. And it did pass, so we felt that we needed to at least let the town people know that we were going to look into it. So, it says, I, Stephen Conley Senior, a Raleigh resident residing at 45 Mansion Drive, Raleigh, Mass., make a motion under Article 2 of this annual town meeting to instruct the Board of Selectmen within 30 days to officially request in writing the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, NRC, hold a public hearing to receive and discuss information regarding the effectiveness of the Seabrook Nuclear Plant Evacuation Plan. Motion made by Stephen Conley Sr., motion seconded by Frank P. Todd. So, that was the motion, and it did pass.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak on behalf of Mr. Conley? Or? Apparently not, Mr. Chairman.
No, evidently. So,
Mr. Chairman, could I just say, with Mr. Conley not being here, this issue, as we all know, goes back to the 80s, I believe, maybe even before that. We've been dealing with this, and Mr. Conley's been writing letters and requesting actions and so on and so forth. And, obviously, he's not satisfied with what's taken place. And so the board, as a result of the motion, has diligently attempted to, we gave a request to the fire chief, our Raleigh Emergency Management Director, requested him to look into the situation. And he's brought 3 representatives from I think they were all from the state, right?
Yes.
So that in the absence of Mr. Conley, I'd certainly like to hear what the evacuation plan is and what comments they'd all like to make, since they made the effort to travel quite a long distance to be here for this hearing.
right.
We certainly want to let them make a presentation, and then we'll go from there. I assume, I don't know where Mr. Conley is, but I'm kind of surprised he's not here, because he's usually right on top of these things. He's been down here a number of times to deal with the situation since the town meeting, so.
Right. So, the next one, well, actually, we're at 7:20.
Yeah, 7:20.
So, John, you're on the agenda for 7:20.
There you go.
If you don't mind.
Just do it right from here.
Yeah,
Sure.
just identify yourself.
Okay. My name is John Giruso. I'm the Planning, Preparedness, and Nuclear Section Chief for Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. And what I want to do, the responsibility falls into my group, is the emergency preparedness for the 3 nuclear power plants that are in or on the border of Massachusetts. So, specifically Seabrook.
Yeah.
Clarification, the on-site review of Seabrook Station is done by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. The off-site review is done by FEMA. So, who we follow the criteria is with FEMA. The one who has the decision-making of the license is the NRC. Every 2 years, we have a very robust plan for Seabrook. Every 2 years is a graded exercise where we are federally graded by FEMA, and the plant is graded by the NRC on implementing our emergency plan. Along with the graded exercise, you have probably a couple practice exercises leading up to that. To give you an idea of what our plan is based on, is that there are certain classifications that the nuclear power plant will make in case of an emergency. From lowest, less severe, to the most severe, it would go unusual event, an alert, site area emergency, or general emergency. Give you an idea, a UE, which is an unusual event, that's mainly a notification. So if something minor has happened at the plant, they have 15 minutes to notify don't forget, there are 2 states, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, that are within the 10-mile EPZ. And that is the planning zone for Seabrook Station. You have an alert where the facilities are activated, so we would go to the bunker, affectionately known as State EOC, and then site area emergency. Now we're getting a little more severe, where we have all facilities completely activated, we have traffic and access control points ready to go, and then we have our reception center, which is the monitoring and deconning, if needed, over at Masconomic Regional School. And then general emergency is some sort of protective action. It'll either be shelter in place or an evacuation. Our plans are somewhere over 175 plans and procedures for all 6 towns in the states. As I said, a very robust plan. Training, we train over 103 facilities and over 1,500 people yearly for being ready for, in case anything ever happened at Seabrook Station. And that would include the town of Raleigh, because you are a peripheral town. There are 4 peripheral towns: Havel, Groveland, Georgetown, and Raleigh. Every year we come in, Dave and Mike would come in, train Raleigh Police Force, because there are access control points in Raleigh to prevent people, in case there was an incident at Seabrook Station, from going north. So that's all part of the yearly training exercises that have to be done to make sure we're always ready. Facility-wise, you have a host of facilities. You have the 6 towns in the EPZ, Emergency Planning Zone, for Massachusetts. You have another 17 towns in New Hampshire, for a total of 23. You also have, as I said, the 4 peripheral towns. We have special facilities, which Shriners is a host facility. We have, as I said, the reception centers, state staging area. To give you an idea, we're very conservative whenever we are looking and making protective action decisions at Seabrook. Our number 1 priority is the safety of the people of the Commonwealth. So at an alert, what we might do is pre-stage transportation assets, if needed, for an evacuation. And we will do that at the state staging area, which is at Northern Essex Community College in Havel. Very important, because part of the training, again, is training all these bus companies, special buses for handicap, special facilities for ambulances, all that. That's all part of the training, because if needed, they're ready to go. And if we train, we have available to us 3 times of what we need. So if we need 300, we're training close to 1,000. It's always good to make sure you have enough. But again, you have the state staging area, and then where they would go from there is go to the local staging area, the 6 towns, for either moving the population if they needed an evacuation, or whatever protective action we have. Notification, you've heard about the sirens. What the sirens mean if they go off is to tune into the emergency broadcast station, not to get up and leave. It's basically everyone has a calendar within the EPZ. A very informative calendar, tells you exactly what you need to do. A lot of time and effort is done for preparing this material for.
It's a pretty decent calendar too. It's got some
Yeah.
wonderful old-fashioned pictures.
And that was you wouldn't believe the conversation years ago of what can we make, that makes that person put that calendar up, and that's
what
the
does
reason
it.
why it has it.
Yep.
But it has the evacuation routes. It has where the host facilities are, the host schools. It has where Masco, the reception center, has all that information. So it's a very important document. Also, you've heard about mass alerts on the smartphones. We have that implemented in our plans. Code Red, which is a automatic dialer. The 6 communities, a lot of the communities within the EPZ have that, and also Seabrook is going to have that as a backup to the sirens. Give it to MEMA in order to inform the people. Public information, I talked about the calendars. We also have the beach signs, CDs for the sight impaired. We have that at the libraries. So, and posters around the EPZ. A lot of discussions about evacuation routes. We have traffic control points, access control points. Every 10 years, or if there's a major change in roadways or population, there has to be an ETE, which is an estimated time to evacuate study done by the plant. That is the basis of where the traffic and access control points. It's an engineering firm that they choose that does the traffic study for the EPZ. So, and they do it in different scenarios. There are 14 scenarios. One of them, let's face it, we're talking about the beach, so the worst condition would be 4th of July, hot, sunny day, and everyone there. And that's a scenario that they use. So we use state police personnel, we use local police personnel, we use public works personnel. That's, all the equipment is pre-staged, ready to go. They have their procedures. If there's an incident, where they would have the traffic and access control points set up. And then, based on the decisions that are being made back at MEMA, at the state EOC, of when that's implemented, and the points are all set up. It's, as I said, a very robust system, but the thing I could leave you with is the commitment and dedication of the public safety officials in the EPZ is second to none. I mean, we meet with them, we work very close. Dave and Mike, who are the lead nuclear planners for Seabrook, for MEMA, work very close with them, and none of this would work without that dedication. It's not only their dedication, but their whole staff. And that's the reason why I have full confidence if something happened at Seabrook, we would be able to protect the Commonwealth, the people of the Commonwealth. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to.
I'd just like to clarify one point.
Yep.
You're designating us as a peripheral town because we're outside of the 10-mile
And
radius?
you're right on the border of the 10 miles, correct?
Okay.
Is Seabrook scheduled to be decommissioned or shut down? I thought I heard that.
Right now, their license goes to 2030.
30.
They have
Were they renewed
applied
recently?
for a renewal to go to 2050.
Okay.
It went online in 1990.
Anything, Bob?
No.
No.
No, most of us have dealt with this in the past, and so we're pretty familiar in general with, and, I myself, retired from the state police. I know we did a lot of work when this whole thing was set up back. I've been out of there since 1990, but, things were going on, and that's when everything was getting set up and plans were getting put in place, so.
That's correct.
Not like anything else, there's no plan that's perfect, and all you can do is put together the plans, practice, be ready, and then the people in place, and it includes the chief, fire chief, police chief, and so on and so forth in the various towns, and when things go wrong, which invariably they do, that we get the right caliber of people to reevaluate and make new decisions based on whatever the circumstances are. And
Correct.
if the wind's blowing this way and it actually is a release, we got problems.
Right.
And it's going to be tough, but you do the best you can with the plan is there, and it's not going to go anywhere. And, part of the frustration is that Mr. Conley he's not here tonight, but he's expressed concerns about the quality of the parts and replacement parts and so on and so forth. Well, none of us have any control over any of that. All we can do is be prepared and hope that our citizens will respond in kind when and if something happens, and hopefully nothing will ever happen.
Right.
But sounds like the state's prepared, and I know the fire chief and the police chief certainly. We depend on them for all of our emergency responses, and they do a great job, and they work well with you people and the surrounding community. So,
Absolutely.
I think I don't know what else we can do other than I'm happy that you were able to come up here and give us a little talk to. And I'm like I say, Mr. Conley's concerns are not unfounded. In other words, if it's the 4th of July. It's going to be one tough time trying to get people evacuated safely and quickly and so on and so forth. It may well be almost impossible, but all we can do as public officials is the best we can with
Right, and that's what that.
based on the
DTE
planning,
stuff-
and
right,
the good
exactly.
planning certainly makes things work well, and when things don't go quite right, good planning has people and policies in position that, you know, you can make adjustments, and good communications and so on and so forth, and all these communications has improved so much in the last few years from what it was back in
Oh, yeah.
the '80s. I mean, we see that right in our town, so.
I appreciate all your effort and your time coming out here
No, no
and
problem.
presenting this to us.
We do.
And I just wish Mr. Conley had been here to partake in this and ask questions. And Chief, I thank you for all the time and effort that you put into this, to organize this.
I appreciate them
Yes.
coming.
Yes.
It's helped me out a lot, 'cause
I think
don't
it
have to
really gives
mention
us a different perspective as to what the emergency planning really is.
Oh, it's-
I mean, you know, you say you got an emergency plan, but you don't understand what goes into that plan.
Exactly.
And it
It's a lot of
sounds
work.
like it's a lot of work there,
Right.
so.
It's not something that's just put up on the shelf.
John, how many years have you been over there?
I've been with MEMA for 10 years.
10 years,
I've been in the nuclear business for
a lot longer.
a lot longer. But, and as you said, you talked about procedures. Not only is the training done every year, all the plans and procedures are reviewed every year, revised if necessary, with the people that are implementing it. It's not us in this little cubbyhole
Cubbyhole.
looking at it. It's working with the people that have to implement it and reviewing that and getting new
John, can you
procedures.
give us a little bit of your background?
Oh, my background. I started in the industry with Stone and Webster back in the early 70s.
Okay.
They were engineering and construction firm for nuclear power plants. Then I went up to Seabrook, finished building it, and worked my way. I was ended up being security manager at the nuclear plant.
Mhm.
And from there, I went to MEMA as the nuclear section chief. So,
So you really have hands-on with this plant.
correct.
You know this inside and out.
That is correct. Yep.
And maybe the two gentlemen with you could just give us a brief background of what you guys actually do, and a little bit of your history, background history.
Yeah, sure. I've been with Mass Emergency Management and the nuclear side and the planning for about 12 years now. And our primary job is to make sure that all the facilities that are in the emergency planning zone are in a constant state of readiness. And that includes everything from making sure that we review the plans on an annual basis and update them, as well as we train, work closely with all the facilities that we train on an annual basis as well. And then, roll up the sleeves and actually get in, and each facility has material on site, whether it be cones, traffic cones, barricades, maps, procedures, plans, SOPs, all that stuff. So we make sure we roll up our sleeves and get in and make sure all that stuff is inspected quarterly and updated on an annual basis, at the very least, if need be, if there's anything that needs updated, so.
And your background?
In planning.
All planning?
Yep, all planning.
Okay. Emergency planning, I take
Yes.
it. Okay.
I'm actually a retired Seabrook police officer. I served 26 years in the community, raised my family in that community. I didn't think the plant was safe. I wouldn't have raised my kids there. And I certainly wouldn't be doing this job. Plus, retired from the military after 30 years. Like Dave said, we go out and train all these people. We review each plan. They have to be certified. John, our boss, he has to review our updates.
Mhm.
It's a process that I had no idea, even after being a cop there for 26 years.
Okay.
And I've been there 2 years now at MEMA.
What was your MOS in the military?
Which time I did.
Which time?
Yeah, I did everything from. I did a lot of things in the military.
Okay.
Quite a few things.
Well, thank you very much.
We just
Is
did
it
the chief did an unbelievable job on his report. Certainly when I read it, I was impressed with the amount of time you spent on it, and certainly you seem to cover every angle. Maybe you want to not read it, but give us just a quick summary so that the public understands
Sure.
the work you did in conjunction with all these other agencies. And
After
appreciate it.
you guys gave me the task, I did read all his handouts, and I'm not going to deal with the emergency procedures because John pretty much talked about everything. I will talk about two specific points that he did mention. One was the 1990 Government Accounting Office report, And it was identified that Seabrook did have in possession substandard parts, although the conclusion of the report states that more investigation was needed to be done to determine if the substandard parts pose a concern. It also identified that the Office of Management Budget and the President's Council on Integrity and Efficiency need to meet to address the concerns of this report. And which is there an issue? Is having substandard parts been a problem in the plants that they were identified? And as of today, I have no idea if that report was ever done, because at the time, the Office of Management and Budget said that there was no money to commission the report. Another thing that this report did mention, and this was during the era of the $800 toilet seats, is that there was a lot of unscrupulous vendors out there that were charging astronomical amount of money for parts in the government. And all the different agencies realized it, but there was no real way for them to track. So if company X did a contract with the Department of Defense and kind of raked them over the coals, Department of Energy or the Department of the Interior would know about it. And one of the biggest things that this report did bring out was a need for some type of database so that they can find these people and charge them. Towards the end, there was some companies that were fined, but not a lot. But the end result is we don't know if these parts are an issue or not, according to this report, which is what was handed to me. And that's a lot of reading there.
Mhm.
And then also a lot of reading on the website to go into the Government Accounting Office to make sure that everything in that report was there, and it was. The other thing I want to bring up is he did mention a company called Satin American, which sold switches that had issues, and there was a fire in this facility. This is mentioned in the NRC website that there was a fire in the facility, there was records destroyed, and they sent out a directive or a bulletin to all the power plants to check to see if they have these switches in inventory. I found no evidence that the U.S. Marshal's Office was going to come in and seize records prior to this fire. I have no evidence that they were even going down there, and that was going to the U.S. Marshal's website, the Connecticut Fire Marshal's website, and the town of Shelton, Connecticut's fire department website. I couldn't find any information basically on this fire, on this company. This company still is in existence today. The other thing I want to talk about is I spoke with every emergency management director in the 6 EPZ communities. Some of them are dual role like myself, fire chief / police chief. 2 have met Mr. Comley. The others 4 have never laid eyes on him. They all have no concerns about the plans that are in place for their communities. In closing, I can't deny or can I confirm any of these issues that were brought up, because there's just not enough information, and I don't have the time to really go through it all, and I'm not a nuclear whiz at all. So if there's any questions about my report in particular, I'll try to answer them the best I can.
No, I think I had a chance to read the report, Chief, and it came out, you did a lot of work there, that's for sure.
6 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
We
I
appreciate
know.
the time that you took.
We
Absolutely.
kind
do
of dumped
that.
it on you, but we appreciate it very much, the Chief.
And I appreciate these guys, for one, meeting with me the first time.
Yeah.
Because it was a joyous occasion when we first met, previous Chief in Amesbury retirement party. But they did come back, and we spent a lot of time at the station
So
discussing.
you must have behaved yourself at the retirement.
It was during the day and I was on duty.
Oh, that explains it, that explains it. I've seen him at these retirement parties.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we certainly appreciate the attendance of the state officials.
Oh, absolutely,
I think it certainly,
absolutely.
with the report, add to that, the report the fire chief did along in conjunction with the police chief. And certainly a lot of work was put into this, a lot of effort was put in, and we appreciate you gentlemen coming up here. So I think we've certainly fulfilled our obligations to Mr. Conley to, whether we decide to write a letter or not, that's to be determined, but I think we've certainly done due diligence in looking at the issue. And we all realize that we're a tiny speck in this whole process. And state people obviously play a bigger role and have a lot more responsibility, but, everybody's, the plant is there, was built with whatever, over which none of us had any control, and we're doing the best we can to deal with the issues that might be before us if there's an incident. And so far, so good. I guess that training has gone well, and when they find problems, they're addressed, and these gentlemen seem to, and the staff that works with them does a great job. So I think on that basis, I'd like to just say personally thank you to all of you for the work you've done, and I don't know what else we can really do. I see Representative Brad Hill and Senator Tara here if they want to.
Maybe anything to say, or is it?
Just for your information, Mr. Conley, I don't know we don't know where he is. He didn't come, but we also appreciate you two gentlemen showing up, and it's one more thing. We've trotted out a lot of people for this hearing, and I hope that people understand that we take the issue seriously, and we're certainly happy to address it.
Yep.
If I might, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
and through to the members, let me just respond in kind and say that Representative Hill and I understand how seriously the board takes this, and we appreciate the effort that's been put forth. We take it very seriously as well, because there's nothing that's more important to us than the safety of our constituents, and I know you feel the same way. And I'm particularly appreciative not only of the ongoing work that MEMA does with regard to this issue, but for the presence tonight and the presentation to you. And also want to say a particular word of thanks to Chief Broderick for his report, which we've had a chance to review and know that he put a significant amount of time and effort into, and we appreciate that very, very much, as well as to our police chief for his vigilance on this matter. When we were presented with this issue by Mr. Conley, again, we, as you did, took it very seriously. We continue to. Representative Hill and I have had correspondence with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, asking them, as you have tonight, to hold a public hearing and to be able to receive information. And this is one of those things where I don't think we can ever be satisfied that we can stop thinking about it or stop looking at it. And in that same vein, my own belief is that the safety plans for Seabrook are something that are in constant evolution, that we need to constantly make sure that we have the best plan, that we're revising it, that we're improving it or changing it if that we need to, and that we can never abandon vigilance of that. That being said, my personal belief is the product that we have is the result of that process since the operation of the plant began so many years ago. And so, while naturally we're concerned about this, I think we can feel comfortable that there are a lot of competent, qualified people looking at the issue, again, from our police and fire chief here in town, all the way up to the NRC, and with MEMA and FEMA in the middle. And while we are right to ask questions and seek answers to those questions, my belief is that we should not overreact, but we should in fact react and be vigilant and continue to ask questions and continue to monitor the situation. And I appreciate Mr. Conley bringing his concerns to our attention, again, because this is something that we all should be concerned about, and we are. And lastly, I would suggest that my understanding is that the plant is actually seeking relicensure. And as part of that process, there will be an even more exhaustive review of this plan than there usually is periodically, and that we all have a role to play in that. And I would hope the board would partner with Representative Hill and I in making sure that people in town know more about that process and know when they can engage it, so that we can again get the best product we can if in fact relicensure ensues. So those are a few thoughts from my perspective. I'm happy to defer to my colleague.
And there's not a lot I can add to that. We have been working together on this issue for quite a few months, if not a couple of years now. And my concern, obviously, as your representatives, is I want to make sure that we have an evacuation route that is safe for all the constituents that we serve. As you serve one town, we have a member of the Senate who has 17 towns that this could be affected by, and I have 6. And we want to make sure that those routes are safe and that they, during summer months particularly, you know, we look at the Ipswich population, and it's certainly in Gloucester, those populations quadruple during certain months of the year. And when this issue was brought to my attention, I wanted to make sure that our constituents would be covered should there be some type of an accident there. I think now, more than ever, since they are looking for relicensure, that we really at this point need to reach out to our federal delegation as well. Mr. Comley has worked at the state level with us. He has obviously worked with the local officials. But I think now moving forward, we have a new congressman in place that does not know about these issues and needs to be brought into that loop. We do feel very strongly that as the hearing process starts, that we should have a local hearing in this area so that we don't have to go down to Washington, D.C. to voice our concerns. We obviously are willing to do that, and in our capacity, we can do that. But to the everyday citizen, that is not an easy thing to do. And I think these issues are very important to all of us, and there is no harm in asking for a hearing locally. And I think what I would recommend the board at this point do is reach out with a letter to our new congressman, and we can meet with him privately and voice the concerns that Mr. Comley has voiced to us, and ask if he can be an advocate of having that hearing as locally as possible. If that means Boston, if that means in New Hampshire, so be it. But it's certainly better than Washington, D.C.
Right.
And I think our constituents deserve that. No matter where there's a nuclear power plant, I think citizens deserve that. Because there are issues that we all talk about and want answers to. And if we can't have it locally, it makes it a lot harder for us to be able to do that as elected officials to the citizens that we serve. That's why we're involved. We want to do what we can, but we do hit these roadblocks when it becomes state versus federal, as you do when it becomes local versus state. And we think we need now to reach out to the new congressman. We would urge you to do the same. We are going to do that in our briefings with him in the next few months. We will be asking him to advocate for a hearing close to his citizens that he now represents.
So the NRC will be holding a public hearing?
They have
as
to,
part
I
of the
believe, under-
relicensure
yes.
process? Okay, so the only issue whether it's local or in DC?
Yeah, they could have one in DC for sure.
Yeah.
When we have a new regulation put into place in the state, we have to have public hearings. We oftentimes have asked those state entities, MEMA has been very good about coming to those hearings throughout the state. And if they affect a certain population or geography within the state, they will go to that geography and they'll hold a hearing so that they can hear from the citizens. That's what we demand of our state government, and as you demand of us when we have issues locally, we bring your state agencies, as you have done tonight, to you. Well, now we want the federal government to come to us in this endeavor, moving forward.
The likelihood is that they will have one in the region. My recollection is oftentimes when they do this, they actually do it in Seabrook. And so the question is, will we have more than that locally? But certainly, we have good reason to believe there'll be one in our region. And we'll continue to push for that. And also, one thing we should mention is that every year in the state budget, there is an assessment upon the plant, and we appropriate money for planning, for evacuation and safety. And Representative Hill and I continue to support that. And again, we think that MEMA does an outstanding job with that, and we're happy to support that. But we do believe there'll be a public hearing, another public hearing locally.
And there seems to be a lot more interactions with our friends to the north in New Hampshire, whether it be with a nuclear power plant or whether it becomes fishing industry. which we're starting now to have to reach out to New Hampshire. So, I mean, there's a lot of, because of our geography, there's a lot of interactions now with the state of New Hampshire. And I think in this particular case, that partnership needs to be very strong.
I think a lot of our fears, come from the 1970, I think it was 79 accident at 3 Mile Island. I mean, we grew up, if you're our age, we grew up thinking nuclear energy was going to be the panacea for everything, our energy needs. And this year is the 100th anniversary of Hyman Rickover, the father of the nuclear navy. And I remember that Jimmy Carter brought Hyman Rickover into 3 Mile Island and brought him in about safety. And one of the things that Hyman Rickover bragged about the U.S. Navy was they never had a nuclear accident. And after 3 Mile Island, bringing Hyman Rickover into that, they really improved the nuclear industry. And they don't get a lot of credit, the NRC, for what they did to prevent the accidents after that. So I don't know if you could add to that, John, but
No, because of 3 Mile Island, that's where you got that's where the emergency plan, 10 Mile EPZ, all that was developed after that.
And
3 Mile.
our reactors are built, they have containment domes. They're not like the Russian, the Chernobyl accident that happened there. That was just, if you read into that, it's just enough to turn your stomach. But
Yes, it is.
we had the foresight to build containment domes. So.
It might be most critical at this point if they're gonna be relicensing, maybe, I don't know if the Board of Selectmen is on the mailing list for hearings or
To be
for
honest with you,
notices,
we're
I'm not sure.
not, and we're trying to make sure that that happens moving forward. I think there's a lot of individual, clearly a Board of the Ipswich Board of Selectmen should be as concerned as you are about what happens in relicensing. They should be notified, and all the towns up and down within this area should be. And our hope would be working with the new congressman that will now happen.
Right. I'm sure that, the towns within the 10-mile radius are included, and we may be, that we just haven't noticed it. Notices may come in, I don't know, but maybe at this point, if the licensing process is gonna be renewed.
Is that you are not.
Yeah, we should be, and I don't know who, maybe the chief can make sure that with his contacts or with John's contacts, that we're advised. So what we'll do is, we're more than happy to make announcements at our meeting let the public know that there's
Sure.
hearings coming up. We can post it on Rowley
I think there's going
Community
to be a lot of new
Television.
partnerships that are created throughout this
Right.
Yeah,
process.
and we just want the public to be aware, and if they've got comments and things to say, they certainly need to be aware that the venue is available when and if that occurs, hopefully in the local area here.
Well, my hope would be that locally that we can put a little pressure on the federal government to ensure that those hearings, or a hearing, I'm not asking for a lot,
Yeah,
at
you'll be-
least
Right.
one,
You'll get
takes
one.
place in this area.
Right.
As, it's great to see that we have the support of two really terrific people in Representative Hill and Senator Tarr, but we need to build that same type of agreement and work with the new Representative Moulton and get with him and to work with him, and maybe he can put the pressure on federally. You guys do a great job for us at the state, and now we have to cultivate that same working relationship with Washington.
If nothing else happens, Joe, as a result of all of this, the open lines of communication and the flow of information will be better, and we will all be better off for it.
Absolutely.
And for that, I think we should all be grateful that we've come this far.
Right.
And we're voicing our concern with both the state and the federal, so.
Yep.
And if we can just add one other thing, we talked about this before we came, which has nothing to do with what we're speaking about. Both of us are very saddened by the loss of Mr. Demento, and we want to say how sorry we are and our best wishes to his family.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Yes, very good.
I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for all the presentations. It certainly sounded very professional, and I think citizens who are watching and will watch this should understand that a lot of work and how much effort goes into all this. And like we all say, nothing's perfect, but we got good people in good positions to make things work the best we can. And we never know what type of an incident's gonna happen, big, small, or, you know, it's impossible to tell. And there's so many factors that go into it but we just thank you guys you gentlemen for coming up and making the presentation to us. And, we get on the mailing list just to make sure that we're aware of when the hearings are coming up. I think that's the most we can do at this point.
Okay, as chairman, I'd like to suggest to the board that we consider sending a letter to Congressman Seth Moulton, requesting that he meet with Mr. Comley to discuss the concerns he has brought forward on the Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant, and that Congressman Moulton consider requesting the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to hold a regional public hearing to discuss emergency planning.
I'll make that motion.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Representative and Senator, thank you very much for coming tonight. I know you've got a busy days, and we appreciate you coming way out to little old Raleigh.
Any good news on the budget?
Actually,
Yes, we do.
Really? Well, stand up and we'll be more than happy to take a minute to hear that.
The budget right now is in conference between the House and the Senate, but the good news is that it will likely include increases in Chapter 70 and unrestricted general government aid, and something that I know that's very important and Raleigh has been a leader in advocating for is regional school transportation. You know that we suffered a 9C reduction on that account. We are working very hard to increase funding in this year's budget. Where the number will settle, we don't know, but I think we can be confident in saying it will be a number greater than where we were left after the 9C cut. And again, it's been something that this board in particular has been very vocal about and very strenuous about helping us with. And so I think we'll have some good news shortly, Dave. It's hard when they sit at the conference table, you never know when we're gonna see the result, but
Right.
it will probably be on time.
It's been sounding
July 1st.
much more positive than what
Yes.
it was originally,
That's-
so. We thank you for all the effort you guys put in on our behalf.
We do appreciate
Because we
it.
know you speak loudly, both of you do, for our constituents, and we appreciate that.
Well, I do know that one other account that's very important to this town and the school district of Triton is a special education circuit breaker.
Yes.
And under both proposals, so it shouldn't be conferenceable, we do get that back up to 75% in this year's budget. We have both spoken to Governors Baker's people on that issue, as well as the conferees. As you, again, with 9C, we saw some cuts to that. And on another issue, we're working with your DPW department, offline a little bit, some language in some of the transportation bond bills that were covered for the town of Rowley. And Senator Tarr and I have been reaching out to Mass Highway to try and get some of those funds released for Route 133.
Great.
We hope to hear something within the next month or two in that regard, so we'll continue to work with your DPW director and, of course, your town administrator to see if we can get those funds released. So actually some very good news on the
Great.
budget front.
Is there any
Thank you
support-
very
is there
much.
any support we can give you,
Actually,
meet with people, go write letters, let us know, and we're more than happy to.
actually, a letter to both of us and to the head of Mass DOT regarding the request by the your DPW director for the 133 project would be very helpful.
Okay.
Excellent.
They're putting together their capital plan, and as you know, with the bond bills, without getting into the sloppiness of making state government work, we passed the bond bills, but they're only authorizations. We need the administration to release those dollars, and they're putting together their capital plan for FY16 as we speak, and we're trying to get those dollars as part of the capital plan.
Very good. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Yeah.
And any more on Route 1, as we have you here, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna let you escape. But Route 1 and Central Street, the light, anything else on that?
We have been communicating with MassDOT that is a priority.
Okay.
Our hope is maybe to summon them to Raleigh again, so that we can discuss it and have them see the situation once again and see if we can move it forward.
I'm available. Okay.
Thank you.
With,
Whatever.
with that said, we've been working with your town administrator on this issue, and my understanding was that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, your public safety officials and your DPW have met with Mass DOT, and they've been coming up with some plans, absent putting the light up at this time, with other ideas to try and slow the traffic down in that area. And I actually have been waiting for a report from DOT on how that's all coming, so I will work with Deborah to make sure that we have that information so that we can have that moving forward.
The one
Very
thing,
good. Thank
one
you.
thing more to add, not only do you have busy days, you have very long days. Thank you. for-
Well, we appreciate
Thank
you
you
all.
very
believe
We're
me.
very thankful you have the Rowley Diner only a few minutes away. We're gonna end up having a little supper there in about a few minutes.
So clear the path.
All of that being said, let us just reiterate, we very much value our relationship and our partnership with you and with the town administrator, and we look forward to continuing that. We think it's a great partnership. It's had proven success, and we look forward to even more of that in the future.
And as a member of the Board of Selectmen, I can say the same thing to you
Yes.
guys.
Yep.
We appreciate it very, very
We
much.
do, really do.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for coming
Okay.
tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, John. Say hi to Jimmy.
You betcha I will.
Oh, I'm staying here anyways.
I will, I will.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Thanks a lot. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
I was
Nice
a
to
drill
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
And it was a
Thank you.
sergeant.
Thank you.
and
Nice to meet
also
you.
was in, radar systems.
Oh,
Thank you.
did
Thanks for
everything.
coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for your service.
We get a motion on that
I
letter.
was in the army. 32.
Seth Walton.
And then he was a police officer for 20
Okay.
Yeah, we could.
Just checking.
That was a very productive
I thought.
presentation. You guys did a great job, and with Senator Tar and Representative Hill
Yes.
topped it off.
It's gonna
I'm
be,
sorry that Mr. Conley.
We're gonna have to
Make
talk
it.
to RCM and see
Yeah.
if we can get that broadcast quite regularly.
Yes.
So that people understand just how that process
Right.
works.
Yeah, I think we need to get a little more information out to the public. We're on the
Yes.
edge.
Yeah.
So, oh, it's very good.
Okay, so we have a 7:45 appointment, which we're just a hair over our time limit there, but it's okay, Chief. We appreciate everything you've done, both you
Yes.
guys, particularly on that report. on the-
I'm
on the
not
FEMA.
taking any credit for that. Chief Broderick did the lion's share of that.
No, I understand, but you guys work together, which is
Yes.
something that I like to see in town departments. I really do. It works out well. We all benefit by that, so. And it's Fire Chief James Broderick and Police Chief Robert Barker to discuss and discussion and selection of finalists for the public safety building proposals. So, oops, we're up to that one.
I would just, before they start, I'd like to say, the two chiefs and myself were part of the committee. I was able to attend the first couple of meetings, and I did view 2 of the 3 architects, and then I fell ill and was unable to complete the task with them. But I want to thank you guys for continuing on, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably come to the same recommendation, because our comments were pretty similar for the first 2 buildings we visited, so. With that said, I just want to apologize to you guys that I was unable to do it. And thank you very much for doing it without me, because we needed to get done.
Needed to get better, so that was priority one.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. During the May 11th meeting, the top 3 firms made presentations on their proposals. Tonight, the Board of Selectmen is scheduled to select a finalist. Chief Barker submitted a letter to the Board of Selectmen on April 27th on the evaluation of the proposals. Chief Barker and Chief Broderick will be present tonight for the discussion on the contract award. So, we had 3 groups that we actually dealt with that made the final list. Reinhardt Associates, the Corella Group, and Castle Booze. I'm assuming the selectmen had a chance to review some of the proposals over the past week. So. And I have a letter here from the chief. You want me to read the letter, Chief? Put that into the record?
I think I read it before.
Okay, when the first time when you made the recommendations for the
I
3?
think so, yeah.
Okay. So that's basically where we stand then with those,
It's the same
3.
one.
Yeah, okay. No, that'll work out.
I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, that my involvement, and like I say, I was limited at the end there, but we had a lot of proposals, 9 proposals, and, you know, any one of the companies was certainly qualified. They all built a variety of police and fire facilities as well as other public facilities, so. When we met initially, first couple of meetings, we whittled it down to 3 finalists.
And I actually, over the weekend, read those 3 finalists, and to me, it's a toss-up.
Yeah, they really were. In fact, we ended up scheduling, the fire chief, I think, did more, and the police chief, the 2 chiefs, through their contacts, we scheduled visits, site visits for the 3 finalists, and, you know, we were impressed with all the buildings. It's a tough choice. Like I say, they're all qualified.
Yeah, they all seem to have the expertise to be able to do this type of work. I mean, they've done multiple facilities through the years.
Yes.
All 3 of them, all 3 candidates, so.
And I did view on television, I wasn't here for the night when you guys interviewed the 3 companies, but I did view it on.
Yeah, the presentations
the
were
pre- the
excellent.
presentations,
Yes.
and, you know, my recommendation, if you're looking, well, I guess we're at that point, I thought the Carroll Group was, if I was gonna hire someone, I think I'd go for them. It's a small outfit, small company, specializes in police and fire stations. When we went, they built the Swampscott Police Station, and it's relatively recent. That was just in the last 2 or 3 years. They had a specific tough requirements down in Swampscott. They had they're right beside or on top of a sewage treatment plant, very small lot. They had very specific requirements. They had a lot of funding issues that they had to whittle down through, but the facility we thought was very well designed, very well put together. The chief down there had nothing but wonderful comments about what a great outfit it was to work for. Whenever they called them, they responded. They had great suggestions for changes. They incorporated suggestions that the chief made to the design. One of the things that they were concerned about was cost, and from what I could see, I think what we saw was a very efficient building that, nothing fancy. I mean, it wasn't meant for looks. It looked nice, but I mean, it wasn't.
It fit the neighborhood very well.
Yeah, it fit in the neighborhood, and I just, in dealing with that chief, he just had nothing but great accolades, and we really liked the design and the work that they did, so. And it's a small outfit, and they very much responded. Whenever the chief said he called them, called them right back, or if somebody come up. It was a constant interaction between the chief and the company, and they had
That, and he kind of kept on the contractors too, the architect. If something wasn't the way it was on the plans, he was very vocal about it.
Yeah. Actually, I did read through the reports, and I did notice that the Carroll Group was a smaller group.
Yeah.
And I think they do things like that. They pay attention to what's going on, because they're not a huge conglomerate with multiple offices everywhere.
Yeah, it sounds like they're ready to start working on it, tomorrow.
Right.
That's the
Right.
impression I got.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they kind of stood out when I read
And
the
I like the
report.
way they describe the process, and particularly the first step of the process is
Yeah.
determine what the needs are, so you don't overbuild and end up with
Right.
something that'll be rejected by town meeting.
And they actually have a form that they fill out. It's in the part of the back of the book there, that they actually go down through and talk to the people. They talk to the directors and the chiefs and the employees, and get all that information out. And I was reading the first section here, which is a summary, I think, if you call it. It's actually a letter explaining the first part of it. And one of the paragraphs is, "We are prepared to negotiate a fee that is compatible with the town's budget and provides for thorough design and engineering services." I mean, the other 2 didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure they've got a fixed price, and they say, this is what it's gonna cost you to have us stocked here, but I just thought that was kind of interesting, that a company like would put that in there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're in the ballpark too, because
Yeah.
from reading the paper, I know Newbury is going through the same process
Same
at this
process.
point of trying to get, they're going for another override vote to get the planning money. We were able to allocate the 100,000 or whatever.
We established a project budget of $85,000.
Right, and I think Newbury is looking for like 90-something thousand, and they're looking for the police, fire, and renovations of town
I'm
hall.
looking
So,
for a lot more than that.
I think it's,
190.
no, but I mean just for planning.
Plan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's a rather convoluted,
Yeah,
because they gotta buy the fire station land,
They
and
got a
they
complicated
got
process.
septic issues that they gotta deal with, because both buildings have failed their Title V, and then their trailers they have been condemned on
Oh,
it
jeez.
all. So they have a real mess over there.
And I kind of got into their experience part of it, which is in section 1, and it says, public safety architecture is what we do,
Yeah,
and is all we have done for the past 28 years.
they specialize in that.
One of my concerns was that, to take a page from Selectman Snow, is that we're not looking to build a Taj Mahal, and we're looking to build a facility that will suit both of your departments well, and to fit the town. And we have to be careful about that.
Right.
And
'cause we've
one
been-
other thing under their experience is the Corral Group has never blown a budget. Our annual projects costs are consistently 5 to 10% below our estimates. And, very important, our errors and omissions charge orders have rarely exceeded 1% of the construction costs. Now, maybe we should have had these people about 2 years ago,
Yes.
building something else in this town. And that's as far as I'll go.
Being an old Yankee, that's the paragraph that stood out to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I read the other 2 proposals also. I mean, I did take time to do it, and things like that didn't pop out to me in those other proposals. They really didn't.
Well,
So-
what's amazing is when we got all those proposals, I never dreamed that there were that many police and fire facilities being built in the Commonwealth in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, that was
Yeah, this part is
unbelievable
true.
how many there have been. I mean,
Oh, yes.
we forget.
Large ones, too.
Yeah, large,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, a lot
50,000
of big
square
ones.
feet.
Yeah.
What, and I had just the opposite feeling, Cliff. I mean, I looked at them because I know where the smaller communities are,
Mhm.
because there's 40
Yeah.
municipal light departments in the town, in the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
So, and I knew where they all were. And a lot of those municipal light departments have had new buildings built like this in their districts, those towns,
Mhm.
with police and fire facilities and renovations of those facilities, which I was kind of surprised at.
Mhm.
The smaller towns were taking
Yeah.
these people, and
Yeah.
not necessarily just this one we're talking about now, but even the other 2 were doing the same thing.
Right.
So they were all looking.
I had a question about Castle Booze, if that's how you pronounce it. but-
Yes,
That's how you
Yes.
pronounce it.
They've already done a study for us?
They did a study back in 1999, and then the second time in 2001.
Yeah, so it's a long time.
And it was a long time ago. The principals that were involved at that time, the architects, no longer work for the firm.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know that neither one of those attempts passed.
We weren't able to get a town meeting.
Town meeting,
approval.
right, I remember that, yeah.
And the one thing I can say about the Castle Booze, they did have the Holden Public Safety Building was very nice, and they don't have a long time use of it. You know, it was a well-constructed building. There was some things there that we thought were kind of over the top. One, they had the heated sidewalks, and they had
Well, there again, because
Heated
Holden is a municipal light
yeah,
department.
geothermal heating system, which the fire chief had said that if they had it to do over again, they wouldn't do it, because it's gonna cost them $30,000 a year to have someone come in and maintain it. It's that delicate of a system. It's just something that you can't have your normal firefighter or police officer to go see what's wrong with it, you know. The Carrell Group, the Swampscott building, and they did do a fire station in Ware, Mass. A couple of years ago. What I was impressed about with that building is it blended into the community, the surrounding neighborhood.
What do you mean by that? And, you know,
It didn't stand out.
Mhm.
It
it's
wasn't
like a
like,
residential community?
it was
or-
it's in the residential area.
Yeah.
There is a sewer treatment lift
Think the current
station.
police station, how does that blend with it? It really doesn't.
No.
It just kind of followed the
Chief, I was
character.
gonna say something about pizza, but that, we shan't go
I was
there.
gonna call it the police hut.
He doesn't get to go crazy like the previous chief. But what impressed me about the inside of that police station the outside was nice looking, but it was, you know, it fit the neighborhood, it fit the location. But it was the work and thought that went into the inside of the building. Every part of the room, building, the station had a function and a purpose. It was a nice flow, whereas the Hamilton building, it didn't have a good flow. This guy took a lot of time to think about, right down to what's the easiest floor to keep clean. And that's what impressed me, it was the detail. He really kind of looked at the need and came up with a nice presentation.
Very practical building.
Yeah.
It was very practical and neat looking. Not like you say, you looked at it and it was a nice looking building, but it wasn't anything fancy. I remember when the Castle Booze proposal was sent out, and, you know, everybody went, "You gotta be kidding me." You know what I mean? It was just over the top in terms of design, and it just didn't, you know, part of that's probably what turned people off at the time.
What I did notice, Dave, when I was going through this, and the same Castle, we're talking 99 to up to 2000,
Yeah.
right in that area there. And that was a proposal that was $5 million.
Yeah.
And you start looking at the back of some of these books where they list the buildings and what the actual cost was and so forth and so on, we're still in that $5,000 range.
Million.
I mean, some of them, if I mean 5 million, some of them are pretty high.
Right.
Because they're bigger communities and
Right.
they've got 8,
And-
10, 12 bays.
This is a big station, but with the Castle Booze project, just, you know, put everything in perspective, they were $1.5 million under their budget. So they ended up being able to do other things that they wouldn't have done otherwise. So they got they didn't have to go cut things. I mean,
Right.
But their budget was $15 million.
their budget was
Yeah.
pretty high.
Yeah.
I
But
don't think we have
I think,
any hope of that.
and I think Carell will do the same thing, and that's where I would put my vote, is Carell. His presentation kind of reminded me a little bit of myself, you know. I kind of liked him. He didn't seem to be full of himself. I liked his building that he designed in Swampscott. I think he's someone that's gonna work well with us, and I think we'll get the best design that we can, and hopefully the best chance of getting it passed.
Took a small footprint in Swampscott and put a great police station.
It was a very well thought out police station on a small footprint, and that's what really grabbed me, is that space considerations as they are, that's definitely a top priority.
And, you know, I look at the chart of all the feasibility studies that they did, and how many went fruition right through into construction, actual construction. Vast majority of their projects. So, I mean, that tells you a lot about Corral.
It does, it really does. Yep, sounds like their attention to detail and their ability to get the projects passed through, and their willingness to work with the cost factor in keeping the reasonable. I think they sound like a very good company to deal with, the Corral.
Because we really need to get this passed.
Yes.
This is critical. When you look at the weather conditions we've been going through, and both buildings are so marginal at this point, it's only a matter of time before we have some major building issues with fire and police both, because of the way the facilities are set up, and the trailer issue for the police, and the building that's just totally outdated that we're using with the fire department presently.
And you really have to take a look at the town as our home. And, you know, when we're building things in our home, we're adding a kitchen or a bathroom or something into our house, okay, priorities on how we're gonna do it, what's the best time in our lives to do these things. Right now, money is cheap. We won't see this in a long time,
No, the
okay?
interest rates.
And this, if there was ever a time to go do something, a project like this is it. That's my feeling.
Well, I think we could wind up just like Newbury did. I mean, all of a sudden, they knew they had some issues, and all of a sudden, now you gotta close everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of money in the interim now to just keep things going, and they still don't know if they're gonna get the override passed to do the planning. So, I
Right.
mean, we're one step ahead in terms of we have the money to do the planning, and I think we need to move full speed ahead at this point.
Yep.
To do that, and I think I think the Carroll Group is the one. I think they'll do a good job for us. And I also think that in watching them to make their presentation to the board, that if they come to town meeting, I think they'll make a nice presentation to the town, that I think the town will feel that, you know, hopefully it's a worthwhile project, and they'll vote for it, because a lot of work, a lot of money's going into this, and we desperately need this to be done in the next, 2 or 3 years, time, and it's just, we've wasted enough time in the past.
Time for a motion?
Unless there's further discussion. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. I guess it's time for a motion.
I move that we approve of the Corel Group.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much, chiefs, for the work
Thank
you've
you
done.
very
And
much.
If it goes, it is even gonna be more work. It'll be done just about the time everybody's retiring.
You got that right.
Chief, thanks for all the work on the remake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bob, that one.
Thanks, Chief.
See you later.
Yeah, take care. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, so that brings us down to old business number 1. And let's discuss Whittier Votek school choice policies and Rowley representative to a committee to address goals and compliance issues. Vice Chairman Joe Perry attended a meeting a few weeks ago and other local officials to discuss Whittier Votek High School school choice policies. The group decided to form a committee to address short-term goals concerning emissions and transportation issues and a long-term goal of reviewing the Whittier Votek agreement. Mr. Perry will provide an update on this.
I did volunteer to go to the town of Merrimack. They asked for all of the towns that send students to Whittier to come to a meeting, and about 7 towns sent a representative to the meeting in Merrimack. And they discussed several issues. They are looking to set up a committee that will address the issues that they have and other issues with the new superintendent. The current superintendent will be leaving, I believe, at the end of June. And there will be a new superintendent who's already been chosen to take over in either July or August. And they figured that once she got a chance to get situated and get her feet wet with the Whittier School, that they would have a meeting with this committee with the new superintendent. Some of the issues that they did bring up, they were very vocal about one issue. It costs $18,000 to educate a student at Whittier. And so when we send out our students, we're paying $18,000 per student. When they take in, right now they have 141 out-of-district students. And those they get from the state, and I believe it's through the towns, $5,000 to payment to the Whittier schools for that towards the tuition. So that's a $13,000 shortfall per student, and it amounts to over $1 million each year in the budget that they're short. And it also provides, they have to provide transportation, or Whittier has decided to provide transportation. And they said, well, it's only a few more miles beyond, but they have provided extra buses. and bus drivers to go out to these towns to bring in the students. They have voted, the Whittier School Committee has voted not to accept any out-of-district students for grade 9 for this coming fall. So that's, they don't know whether that's a positive or what, but it's one of the issues that the committee would like it addressed. And they are also concerned about the fact that there is an application, and it is consistent of 5 parts, and and each part has a 20-point system, 20-point weight to it. And if a student gets 67 points, then they can be accepted to the school. And their concern was that what they do is send out these applications to out-of-district students, and they will accumulate all of the applications and then look at the scores on them. And if they rank, and they take the top, and then they put those into a pool that they're selecting their new students, instead of just taking all of the applications and using that as a pool. And the members of this at Merrimack were saying that they think it's an unfair advantage given to these out-of-district students, that they're only taking the very best for the and not giving the in-district students a fair chance at getting admitted to the school. So those are some of the issues that are going to be brought up. And I would like to, if it's agreeable with the board, to be the representative to go to their the committee meetings and find out what's going on with Whittier.
I'll nominate Joe, the representative.
I'll second.
Any opposition? All those in favor of Joe being on the committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck, Joe.
And Joe, I just want to add, this has been an ongoing issue, particularly with the fact that, 130 choice students is an astronomical number, which means that I know in reading the local newspapers that a number of communities are rather upset that they're taking 130 choice students, and there are students within their own communities that we pay to support that school, and they're not getting in.
Exactly.
So it's basically an exam school.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And so what they are doing is they're taking they talk about how everybody passes the MCAS and all that. Well, that's fine, because you're handpicking all the students that do the best on the exam, so
Right.
that's a given. But yeah, the bus transportation, it's just was it 15 communities, 13 communities, or 15 communities that send students there, and it's every year, and I know in my long time that I've been here, the small towns, we just send, we have 3, 4, 5, 6 students, and we don't really get involved in it. And most every town is the same. We don't pay too much attention to it, but I think this is the first time that there's been a committee formed that seems to really have an interest, and I think it's valuable for us to pursue it, because they've really had a free rein up there. Nobody's ever really been able to put a group together to actually challenge what they're doing. This is the first time that's happened, and I think it's good for Whittier to be challenged, and it's certainly in our interest to make our views known on these issues. And I think the choice issue is huge, and I know if we lose choice students from Triton, that was always a big issue at Triton. But we don't pay for bus. It's the students that come to Triton, they arrange their own transportation. And transportation is a huge cost today.
It is a very big cost.
Brad Hill mentioned the reimbursements for, our kids. Well, I don't think they get any reimbursements for choice students. So that's totally out of their budget. So these are some issues that we really need answers to. And if they're going to do choice students, fine, but I don't think it needs to be 130. I think we certainly should look at more of our kids having it, because that's a great school. They do a great education up there, especially if you're looking into. You can go to college from there, obviously, but they also have so many of the courses that we had in our high schools when we were kids that we don't no longer have, because they exist, and the kids don't get a lot of the practical stuff that. It's important for our kids to have that access to that. It is, and it's expensive, but I think we really need to take a look at it, so good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to the next. So we're now down to new business, and it's reviews ZBA application from Richard J. Curran Jr. Special permit for in-law apartment at 157 Boxford Road. So, the application is here. Going to build an attached one-bedroom in-law apartment. I guess his son and his wife are gonna reside in the main house, and the parents, Ellen and Dick, will be in the in-law apartment.
Consistent with our bylaw.
Yep.
That we recently amended, chances are this is a relatively new home on Boxford Road, so before
It
we
is.
amended it, they wouldn't have been
Been able to do this.
permitted to do it.
Right.
So we did-
And it's one of those small lots. I don't know if you looked at the
Oh, it's a good
plan.
sized lot.
Well, when I say small, it's long and
Yeah,
narrow.
long and narrow, but
Yeah.
it's a roomy lot.
Yeah, and I mean, the house is way back.
Yeah.
It's almost to the back of the lot, so you can hardly see it from the street. And they're looking to put the addition on the back side of it,
Mm.
so. No, I guess it's going on the front, according to this. Now that I look at it again. Finally get Boxford Road laid out yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's right
Oh,
there.
yeah, for the front, yeah.
So. Yeah, he's got the garage in the back.
700 square feet, again, is the maximum under our bylaw, I believe.
Okay. So is there any discussion, comment?
I don't see any issues. And of course, it's up to the ZBA to hold a public hearing and issue the special permit.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's scheduled for,
The 18th.
Right.
June 18th. So, there's no discussion, entertain a motion that we
I'll just motion to send it on, really.
send it over back to the ZBA, so we have no issues,
Just,
No comments?
no
no
comments,
comments.
or issues, no issues.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business item number 3, request from Mary Ann Richard of Backstage Salon for a trailer permit. Let's see, Backstage is applying for a trailer permit pursuant to the town's trailer use general bylaw. We have asked Building Inspector Ken Ward and Town Planner Kurt Baker to review this application. Comments are attached. Backstage Salon's plans to use this trailer as office space while they are doing a renovation in the salon. It will be located behind the building. They plan to occupy the trailer through December 1, 2015. The trailer is 10 feet by 44 feet. The specification sheet is attached. If the board is satisfied and approves this permit, please sign it tonight. Permit is attached. Okay, Ken said that it's allowed, or he thinks it is at least. He believes it's allowed under the zoning bylaws. However, general bylaws, a permit is required from the Board of Selectmen.
Right, under the zoning bylaw, it can't be for more than a year, so.
And I think there is under the general bylaw, I think it's what, 6 months?
It shall be for 6 months, and
6
then
months, yeah.
the holder of the permit would need to come forward and request an extension.
Yes, it's only gonna be there for 6 to 7 months.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not a huge,
In the town planner, Kirk Baker, did a lot of review of this, and you can see he's got some detailed comments on that.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. It's gonna be in the back of the building, and
Yeah.
it's an ongoing business, and
Yeah.
they're doing renovation work. It's almost, they need to work out of somewhere, so.
And it won't interfere with the issue that we had with the market basket, with the burning the trees that screened,
No, that should be
No,
down towards the
no,
middle
that's
of the, you know,
Further, that's further.
beyond,
down.
that's on the other side of the CVS, and just down more towards the middle of the shopping centers area there, so.
That was something that actually, Mr. Perry, that Kirk Baker does draw to your attention on his comments in his third paragraph, that he just wants to point out.
oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it should affect it. It's not gonna be a high, they're not high, you know, it's not gonna be higher than what the building already is.
Yeah, it's pretty good screening there.
Yeah, it's good screening after they redid it.
The fence and the planting, really could grow taller.
I'll be perfectly happy to give you a motion to approve the request through December 1st, 2015,
Yes.
for the 10 by 44 trail.
I'll second.
motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Joe.
Just pull.
That's why if I was pulling it right up.
It's a workout just to get the cap off.
Thanks, Clay. Okay, new business item number 4. Discuss open space committee and letter from Sonia Bincola, re-open space committee. Okay. While the Conservation Commission acting Open Space Committee has not yet had an opportunity to meet with Ms. Vincola, Conservation Agent Brent Bazelak is acquainted with her from her participation in the Conservation Commission's Earth Day cleanup event at the Boxford Road Pingree Farm Conservation Area last year. The Board of Selectmen should consider Ms. Vincola as a candidate for the Open Space Committee. Larry White has also expressed an interest and has met with the Board of Selectmen and Conservation Commission. The Open Space Committee should consist of 5 members, of which 1 member is a sitting member of the Conservation Commission. The Concom members will serve as a liaison, thereby ensuring frequent communication between both groups. If Larry White, Sonia Vincola, and a Conservation Commission member is appointed, then we will be only recruiting 2 more individuals to serve on this committee. Does the board wish to send a memo to the Conservation Commission requesting that they nominate one of their members to serve on the Open Space Committee?
I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that if they have 3 members, Debbie, they could probably start meeting, right? I mean,
And
it'll
we
be 2
can
vacancies, but
continue to recruit, well,
I
that's,
think if we have an active committee, that might serve to actually encourage other people to get involved. In other words, because there's nobody meeting.
there's a big they have the, we have to finish the open space plan, I mean, we have the
Right.
draft, and the Conservation Commission really Brent, has been working a lot on that, and now we need to finish it and hire the consultant to finish it. So he's looking for help, and I
Maybe
think,
if we appoint two
so if we have
people.
Larry White, and you expressed an interest, and so
Right.
we've got you in the docket, and Ms. Vancola, and then if the Conservation
Third member
Commission.
from the commission, they'll have a quorum.
They'll have a
Send the
quorum,
letter,
be able to
yeah.
actually form, I would, I'd be more than happy to make a motion that we
Yeah.
appoint Larry White and
Sonia
Sonia
Vincola.
Vincola.
Sonia and Nicola to the committee, and pending approval of the appointment by the Conservation Commission, they will in fact be a committee and will encourage other people to, I think if they're actually working and doing something, I think it'll probably
Yeah, we
be
can
much more
always
prone to
make our
getting
announcements
additional
too, and
members.
that maybe we've been making announcements right along, and obviously she probably saw one or heard one and decided
She
to.
may have friends or, know
Yeah.
people that, once it's up and running, that might get
That's
involved.
right. I would encourage the board to make sure that, part of that motion, stipulate that the Open Space Committee shall consist of the 5 members, of which one is the Conservation
I'll
Committee
make that
rep.
part of the motion, absolutely.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Congratulations, Larry.
Thank you.
Larry, my condolences.
Well, as a member of the Finance Committee, he can't serve on a committee that has a budget in excess of, I believe, $2,000, since they don't have any budget at all. He's eligible.
Larry, do you
We
know how
can't
hard
lose him
we,
on the Finance Committee.
donations up to 1939.
do you know how hard we worked to get that done so you could get on there? Gotta have a little fun
I'll send
sometimes.
you a letter of thanks in the morning.
Oh, okay, we can read it into the minutes. Fiscal year 16 reappointments. CPA Administrator. Here's Karen O'Donnell. Okay, let me get down through this list. We want to do these one at a time, or should we do them all together?
I think we can do them all. Maybe we
I don't
separate
see-
them into years. You know what I mean?
Okay.
This,
That makes it three positions that we, actually, 3 positions that we need to deal with.
Any
18
controversies
18 and
here?
Actually, 2. I don't see any, I've been looking at it, I don't see any conflict with my
Okay.
things. I mean, I tend to wind up doing those types of things, 'cause I know I've been around too long. But, so if we want, we can start out with the ending in 2016, and it would be CPA Administrator Karen O'Donnell. Actually, we got a list on the agenda, so maybe we ought to do it that way. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. CPA Coordinator, or CPA Administrator Karen O'Donnell, expiration date of 6/30/16.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What do we get next here? Building Inspector Ken Ward, ending 6/30/2018. And alternate Building Inspector Sam Joslin, June 30th, 2018. Plumbing and Gas Inspector Harry Bennett, June 30th, 2018. Alternate Plumber and Gas Inspector William Went, 6/30/2018. Electrical Inspector Dave Lebec, June 30th, 2018. And alternate Electrical Inspector Don Galicki, June 30th, 2018.
Give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Conservation Commission Curtis Turner, June 30th, 2018. And Conservation Commission Robert Gardner.
I'll give you that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Rowley Cultural Council, Carol Bartlett, 2016. Rowley Cultural Council, Carolyn Peabody, 2016. Rowley Cultural Council, Kathy Sullivan, 2016. Rowley Cultural Council, Nancy Hill, Chair, 2016. And Rowley Cultural Council, Sally McGray, 2016.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Parks and Recreation Committee, Tim Southall. That'll be June 30th, 2018.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Minutes from December 15th, 2014, and January 5th, 2015. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Both.
let's see now. Cliff wasn't here,
Yeah,
so
so I'll abstain.
you'll have to abstain.
And I was absent on the December 15th.
December 15th or
I'll-
14th.
Did you make the motion, Bob?
Yes, I made the
I'll
motion.
second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried with 2 abstentions. And the number, January 5th, Jack was absent, so we don't have to worry about that one. Everybody else seemed to have been here.
I'll give you the motion.
Motion made.
Second.
Oh, okay.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carried with 1 abstention. Okay. December, we got that done. Announcements. Water Board, Rowley Water Board is holding a water rate hearing Tuesday, June 2nd at 7 PM at Town Hall in the auditorium. If you got any questions on the water rates, please come and see if you can get your answers. Raleigh Community Blood Drive is Monday, June 8th, 2015, 2 PM to 7 PM, Raleigh Veterans Association, 19 Bradford Street, Raleigh. For an appointment, please call 1-800-RED-CROSS or 733-2767. So that's 1-800-733-2767 or 1-800-RED-CROSS. Or visit redcrossblood.org.
Just as a reminder, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
That it's really important, if you'll walk in off the street, they'll put you in the queue, so you might be a while before you donate blood. So if you can call that number again, 1-800-RED-CROSS, you can, get your appointment and walk right in and be taken care of.
Okay, and it says all presenting donors will receive a coupon for an area day spa, courtesy of Spa Midqueek, with locations in Plastow and Londonderry, New Hampshire. Blood is especially needed this time of year. Please schedule your donation today. Okay. Town has the following vacancies. Fence viewer, 3 positions. Wood, lumber, and bark inspector, and zoning board of appeals associate, 2 open seats. Historical Commission, Historic District Commission, 2 seats. Parks and Recreation Committee, 2 seats. Open Space Committee is seeking members. And we just appointed 2 tonight and asked for a 3rd appointment from the commission, so if you want to join the committee, please call the office. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Independence Day celebration, Saturday, June 27th. Children's Parade, 8:30 a.m. and races, music, and food on the Common, Town Common, starting at 9 a.m. Okay, that's the end of the announcements.
Give you a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Second?
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's for 2 hours, it's good.
I was beginning to
Thought
wonder
this was
that.
gonna be a long time.
Yeah, me too.